situation is that Lincoln Riley's in Los Angeles coaching USC. I saw his didn't see his news conference. I caught his interaction with the media outside the news conference, which sometimes is a little bit more telling and a little bit more revealing. Caught that last night. Meanwhile, in Norman, Bob Stoops has taken over for the bowl game. And as Jason was just detailing for me before we started to go live, Bob Stoops is definitely entrenched in not just getting together a game plan for a bowl game and working with the coaches and players, but doing his very best to, Jason, protect the future of Oklahoma football.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think and Oklahoma held a press conference yesterday just to, I think, really more than anything, just to kind of provide a united front um, for Sooner fans and just the media and things like that. That just kind of talks about really kind of a united front. Just say, hey, the sky is not necessarily falling, because for all intents and purposes, and I think Notre Dame's probably going through the same things today, but for all intents and purposes, it kind of has the feel of like getting hit by probation, from that situation. I know it's not the same thing, but you've got so many coaches that are leaving. You've got your head coach that are leaving. You've got Oklahoma had like 3 or 4 guys, maybe more on the 2021 team that hit the portal. They're up to about 8 or 9 decommitments between the 2022 and 2023 class. So I think all of that, that's the way it feels. But no, you're exactly right, Mark. I think he is, and I think he talked about the story. The story was that when the kind of when the news hit on Sunday afternoon, he was on the golf course and he got a call from Joe Castiglione asking if he would be the interim coach with everything that was going on, and he said that he wasn't. He joked and said he wasn't playing very well, so he picked up the phone. So he immediately he went to Norman, was involved in really the kind of the meetings with the players when Lincoln Riley announced to the players that he was going to go to USC, and has mentioned he has had several conversations with the players family, and then, as you pointed out, Mark, he had mentioned that he was going out recruiting almost immediately, starting yesterday. So I think more so, I think it's probably trying to keep the wheels on the bus, so to speak, with a lot of those commitments. There's been some decommitments, really mostly the guys that they've had, out of California. And I think the big, kind of the big area that was hit was on the 2023 cycle. They've had three or four of the 5-star guys that were from California have decommitted. So, and I think a lot of these kids are taking a wait and see perspective on this, not necessarily, either some of them are hitting the transfer portal or decommitting, but really just trying to see exactly who it is that Oklahoma is going to name before they make a decision. Obviously, the 2023 kids have a lot of time to wait to make that decision. However, the 2022 kids, they don't have a whole lot of time. Yes, they don't necessarily have to commit in this early signing period, but as we've seen over the last couple of years, that a lot of them do. So lots of moving parts, lots of decisions that have to be made. But thankfully for Oklahoma has somebody that's very, very familiar with the program, very familiar with everything. And he seemed, number one, he seemed a little upset, which there's a lot of, I think, hurt feelings within the program itself. But I think more than that, he seemed that he was in a place that was really excited to even get back on the road. He even made a joke that his wife was probably excited to get him out of the house, for a while, for a few days. And so, I think one of the things that was interesting coming out of that press conference, Mark, was that, that he mentioned, number one, that he has no interest whatsoever in being the full-time coach. He made that clear. So, we talked about that. So I think that that ship has sailed in terms of that being an opportunity. But he was very clear about how excited and how happy he was to be able to be in a position to step in and help. So Oklahoma's in a good spot where maybe other programs may not necessarily be that they have. With these coaching changes, the assistant coaches are in such a hard position, right? Because you essentially you don't have a job if you choose not to follow the head coach wherever he goes. You don't have a job, and you're just staying there on faith, hoping that the new regime, the new head coach will keep you on. Um, so there's a few guys that are still there that a little bit surprised. Bill Beanbo's still there. Roy Manning is still at Oklahoma as of right now. Um, let's see, Brian Odom is still at Oklahoma, although I would anticipate him going to with Riley to USC. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting that they've got someone that is able to bridge the gap here, and hit the ground running pretty much immediately.